What's happening, RL? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a wonderful Saturday night live stream. So, I'm going to get right to it. What you're looking at here is my ready-made RC Recruit, and don't get scared. There's a lot less going on here than it looks like. I'm going to probably do a breakout build of all the individual items that you see here once I know for sure everything works. Right now, electronically, everything works except for this GPS. Video's working, got the transmitter set up, got all my modes and everything set up like that, got my ESC calibrated. Everything's fine except for the GPS, and I think I need to do a little bit of mechanics. The Recruit came with a built-in stabilizer that works great. You literally can launch this thing from sitting on the ground or from a lawn chair, and it just takes right off. And a lot of that has to do with the reflex settings and just having a little bit of mechanical up tilt there in the elevons. There's not doesn't come with necessarily the best hardware, but hey, it's going to get the job done. The whole point why I started this project was because I have everything to do it, because with the release of the newest Inav, which is 1.9.1, they're starting to take, the developers are starting to see that there's crossover between multi-rotor and wings, and they have adopted a few, not a lot, but a few of the popular flight controllers that are out there to work with their software, such as this Betaflight F3 that I had in my old Martian that I just pulled out that wasn't being used. I did have a DYS F4 Pro in there first, and it popped, as they usually do. Just, I don't know. I'll never buy one again. I tried to give them one more shot thinking that the newest version was going to be okay, and it wasn't. So, with Inav, you can build a wing or you can build a multi-rotor. And if we take a look at the screen here and go to their website, they have a lot of information. Their wiki is pretty good. It's nearly caught up to where it needs to be. There's not a lot. There's a lot of YouTube videos, but a lot of them are based off of real basic builds with some basic wings, and a lot of them, most of them I've seen are pretty successful. The multi-rotor stuff is kind of so-so. The multi-rotors, this is when you start getting into software versus hardware, in my opinion. And when I first started getting into this hobby and everything, I got into multi-rotors first and did as long range as I could with the technology at the time. And we ran the big, nice DJI NASA M2 GPS units, the big pucks that have the magnetometers and everything like that built into them. Real solid hardware, and this was $250, $300 hardware. And you can get some of that stuff today for about the same price. You can get those used, obviously, for a lot cheaper, but that's 5-year-old stuff. Still works pretty good, though. But what people are doing when it comes to the multi-rotor stuff is they're putting, these $20 and $30 GPSs, which are fine inside with their Inav builds, but they're not getting accurate position holds. They're not getting accurate return to homes. They're getting a lot of toilet bowling. And really, this is, to me, this is something that's not uncommon. I used to run Eagle Tree Vector back in the day as well on one of my big F40 540 multi-rotor builds, and I could never get it to not toilet bowl. It would always return to home and do everything like that just fine, but as far as its flight characteristics, they were horrible. And it looks like, from what I can tell, it hasn't gotten a whole lot better. But considering it, you can spend $50 and get the same performance as you would spend $180 for the Vector, it's pretty good. So I'm not sure what everybody's going to be interested in. I put up a video earlier today saying I'm starting this series, and I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to be interested in the multi-rotor side and in the actual side as far as the planes and stuff go. I'm going to venture into the planes before the planes first, but just to let you know that you can do all of the multi-rotor type of stuff. But when it comes to fixed wing, there's just everything in the world. They've got just this complete basic setup guide on how to get everything going, all the way down to just the last couple CLI commands that you need to put in. They have model presets built into, which will automatically calculate your PIDs and get you kind of like 80 to 90% flying the way you need to. And then after that, they also have an auto-tune mode that actually looks like it works halfway decent. So that is all good stuff. But if I keep on scrolling down through here, you can just see where it looks like it's a ton of information and it looks super complicated, but trust me, it's not. Even the build process is just super easy, especially when it comes to, you know, wing. So big overview here. 2.4 video, the old school immersion RC with the 2.4 singularity running to my ground station, Eagle 2 Pro, big Flight F3 board, power distribution board over there, big cap, XT60 lead with the smoke stopper on there right now. There will be a GPS, which is either going to go right here, or I'm going to have a puck, which is going to go about right in this area. I've already got the crossfire right here, and the antenna is mounted vertically. And underneath here, if I pop this off, I just basically have this dual locked down. If we look back in here, the ESC is back here. I'm running one of the Primo 2450 2207 motors, and really we're using a PDB in this in a lot of these Inav builds instead of running everything off of the flight controller. There's a couple boards that are out there now that are specifically being made to run with this, and we would be able to power different things off of it, but trying to take the load, the whole point is to try to take the load out off of the flight controller with the PDB. So the video is running now. You got ESC battery and ESC power coming into it, and the power is running. The only power that is running off of the board is the crossfire and the GPS. So everything else is running off of the actual PDB. The other thing is your servos and stuff only run at like 5 volts, so you have to run those in there as well. So if I zoom in some, like right here is like my 5 volt line. Here's my 12-volt line that these wires here are going out to the immersion receiver. And then you basically just pop your signals up on top here. So I have the ESC signals going back here to motor to pad 1 where you would normally wire up your motor. Some planes use 2 motors, so number 2 is reserved for a motor as well. And then 3 and 4 are my elevons, and then you can also turn any of these into number 5 if you would be running a normal plane that has like a rudder and stuff like that. So main power comes off of there and then loops back through into the Betaflight F3 board here, so that way we can take advantage of OSD, current sensing, voltage, all that kind of good stuff. Like it literally, the screen is like lit up like a fighter pilot screen. It is just totally awesome, that's for sure. So getting the GPS done, getting the electronics done, that's like the big part. The other part is going to be, like I said, setting up mechanics, you know, making sure that this side here weighs the side, these two sides weigh the same, you know, weighing out these components and seeing if I need to add a little bit of weight to each side. And then of course with our battery position and the GoPro session in the front, right here, we will get the CG so it's either right on or hopefully just a little bit nose heavy. You never want to fly a plane tail heavy. You know, the saying goes, fly nose heavy, fly again, fly tail heavy. What does it say? Never fly again, something like that. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's something, like I said, that, you know, I like to, I like to tinker around with stuff and learn new things, and I want to see how the technology has progressed, and a lot of people are doing this kind of stuff with their wings and everything, and I had everything, so I don't have to spend any extra money, and I want to do the multi-rotor thing and test that stuff out, but I'll be putting up a video in the next day of I got a quick flight out. I wanted to check out some flooding that's going on and out in the fields and stuff in front of my house. So I put the 5.5-inch Proton up and was flying it around out there today. And, you know, besides not having like a return to home, it's just kind of like, oh man, do you really want to mess around with like the way that the quads fly and how awesome everything is running with that kind of stuff right now? There's really not much I am gaining with this right here versus a quad, except I'm flying a plane and I'm going to be able to fly it for a lot longer and a lot further. Like, I do want to test the Crossfire system, and I want to use the stuff that I have and just see how it all works. But in actuality, it's kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, if you follow any of the forums, like any of the stuff on Facebook or anything like that, it's like every day you see these people that have been building their new TBS Capriana 2s, which, you know, when it's all said and done, can be anywhere between a $300 and $700 aircraft, depending upon what you put in it. And these things literally get tossed and go up and then nosedive into the ground, and it's like a foam explosion. You know, there's no guarantee that that won't happen with this. I do know how to throw wings, so I'm not gonna, I know that, you know, there's correct angle of attacks to throw in order to generate airspeed over the wings. You just can't gun it and let it go, or you're just setting yourself up for failure, even with all of the assisted and automatic modes, because like your first flight, you really don't want to throw it up, and use one of those level modes. You need to fly it in what they call pass-through mode, or actually it's called manual mode now in 1.9, and that is the mode that actually skips the gyro and everything like that and allows you to trim out your aircraft. And then when you get done with that, you need to land, and you need to find out where all of those trim levels are. And then it's basically best to, like if my elevon is set up a little bit here right now, probably about 3 or 4 millimeters. If this one needs to be up 3 or 4 millimeters, and this one needs to be down a couple millimeters in order to fly straight and level, then you need to adjust your... People that have never done this before, I'll just kind of show. You need to adjust things like your servo horns and pull these out and twist this stuff and make those tiny minute adjustments, and then bring your controls back to center, because you want full resolution and you don't want any crazy things going on in the software. So you want everything as mechanically sound as you can. This airplane, the wings just screw together. I have them welder glued and bonded and stuff. You can see my nasty hot glue job here on the end for these winglets. So the only thing, it's a sturdy wing, but there is a little bit of flex in there, especially as you start grabbing out to the ends. So with sparring and everything like that, there's still going to be some issues. So planes are just something that you just kind of have to live with and deal with. So once I get the GPS setup working and everything, and then I'll get the wires halfway cleaned up, and at some point we'll get out and maiden this thing and see what's going on. Who knows when that's going to happen, just because our flying field is probably just like a total muddy mess right now, and the last thing I feel like doing is crashing this thing into a big pile of mud and having to chase it down and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of enjoying the build, enjoying the process and everything like that, and just doing as much research and everything as I can, so I can try to pass on as much information to everybody who wants to go into this kind of adventure and have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah, I have that going on there, RL, because I do fly at line of sight, and then I have, this going on down at the bottom too. And then we come back to Exhibit A, the poor 6-inch Canasta Frame, again in shambles. I stole a motor and an ESC off of it, stole the camera off of it, stole the crossfire off of it. This board needs to come off, and it needs to go back to Chang anyway, just because it's got some issues, and it was really only a matter of time. I can't... Betaflight 3.3 is getting ready to come out. There's already the release candidates, so I can't flash it. I can't do anything with it. We went through a couple weekends ago, maybe even last weekend, I can't remember, and we put the Ready-Made RC Cricket V2 on there, and there it sits. So I think that's like the 4th or 5th time that I've tore this poor thing apart, which I'll probably put it back together and tear it apart again, I'm sure. I don't know what it is about this frame. It's just, I don't know. Like, I see people building these 6 and 7 inch frames, and I was all into it as well, but there is just something, and just there's just something special about my 5.5 inch Proton. The weight, the power, just how it flies. There's nothing that this thing offers that it doesn't do better. So it's like, why even have it? I might even put it up for sale, the actual frame. I don't know. We'll see. Nobody really knew about it before, and I think people are a little bit more conscious of them and maybe purchasing them now that Eric has came out with them and Team Black Sheep as well. So a couple little tips that go across the whole thing when it comes to building airplanes, and when it comes to, well, really just like antennas and crossfire and stuff like that all together. And I'll probably make a little tip about this so people get to see this. So what we have here is we have the Immortal T. And after you fly your Immortal T's for a while, things happen. Your UFLs break off, you start losing these caps, these ends here pop off, just all kinds of stuff starts to happen with them. And I was listening to the FPV show podcast the other day, and they brought up, I can't remember who it was, but it was either I think it was either Hyphy or Novak or Blue was talking about using Welder or E6000, which is, like a silicone based type of adhesive. And so it will handle heat a lot better, it'll handle stress a lot better, and they were talking about using this on their UFL connectors. So with my Crossfire transmitter that's going to be dragging the ground a lot when I land and everything like that, I decided to go ahead and reinforce my UFL with some of it, and then put a little bit on the end caps, put a little bit on these red caps here. You can see there's one missing on this one, and on both ends, and then in here where the antenna comes in, and then a little bit here, and just kind of pinch it and work it around, so that way, because if this starts to spin, then that means that your ground is broke and you're done. So, and then of course if your UFL rips off, then you have to try to solder it on without a UFL like I have here, and this may or may not work. I have yet to put it anything to see if it is worthy of flight. On the bench, it does not test as good as any of the other ones, so I'm thinking that my connection is not good and something's going on here, but it should be good enough to get CRSF running in like a smaller park flyer type of deal. So other than that, I guess we can go ahead and take a look at let's take a look at the configurator real quick. I mean, everything looks pretty much the same that we're used to. Actually, I don't have my cord down here to connect to. Crap. First thing we can look at is the firmware flasher, and this is where you can see that there is a lot of different flight controllers being added to the list that we know and use, such as show unstable releases, Betaflight F3 and F4, DYS F4 Pro, the Calibre. I can't remember if they had that on there before. A lot of people are using the Maytech 405s and the 72s. Now, the Omnibus, you can just see the amount of omnibuses here. So the Omnibus F4 Pro is pretty much the standard and the go-to. If you start watching some people's YouTube videos, you're going to see that everybody in their world is using that. Some of the older stuff, they use the SP Racing F3. And that's the good thing, is that a lot of these airplanes only need like an F3 board as long as you got enough UARTs on there, depending upon what you're going to want to use. If you're going to want to use like smart audio and crossfire and GPS, then you're probably going to have to do some resource reassignment or do like some soft serial stuff. And you know, this list is just going to keep on growing, which is awesome, because that means that eventually, you know, some of the other flight controllers that we have will be able to use, that I've grown to learn are pretty dependable, like my Bardwell flight controller. You know, that is very, very dependable. There are specific boards now, like Chang has made a CL Racing F4 Air, which has things kind of aligned a little bit more like the actual Omnibus, and he has like a huge like 5-volt BEC built into it and a 12-volt BEC, so that way you can run everything off of it. No power distribution board required, so less wiring and even easier to do. Yeah, the chats in my live streams are usually not that active. I think we had a pretty good one, though, like a week or two ago, though. We had like 15 people in here, and people were chatting. Not very many people know about the iNav or are into the whole iNav thing yet. I mean, my YouTube audience is so diverse anyway, between the DJI stuff, the models, the 3D printing, everything like that. So let's see, I guess I can just do a quick update. I've got some XT30 to XT60 adapters here, so that way I can finally charge up these 4S's for the babyhawk-r 2.5 and see how that goes. I know some people say that it still flies the best on 3S, even with the 2.5-inch arms. So I'm very, very excited about that, though, just to try. I love flying that thing. It's just one of those things that you really don't care about damaging because it's so cheap to fix. It shouldn't damage itself, even though I did manage to find the middle of the perfect size tree branch to smash my canopy and bust my VTX to bits. Other than that, I'm kind of thinking about what's next. I got my 2 reverbs, I got my Proton. I'd like to have another Proton, but I don't have the extra parts and motors and stuff like that to go throwing onto it. But I have a lot of like half things. Like I have the Martian here with the steel motors. This, you know, could be a good test platform, but I'm just kind of over testing and everything like that. So I don't know, I might maybe do a channel giveaway or something like that on some of this stuff. I've actually got a whole box of like Martian frames that are everything from like the 5-inch to the 6-inch and stuff like that. You know, they're good to play around with and all that. I actually got lucky for once in my life and I won a reverb frame. I don't know how it happened, but I actually won a full reverb frame. But I'm not going to build a third reverb. I have spare arms. I have a spare quad. I don't really know why I would keep this. So I might be turning this into some PayPal money, so that way maybe I can pick up a couple boards or something. But I'm just kind of at a halt and at a standstill right now because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and get burned out on like building and everything like that. I'm really just looking forward to flying, and I've been working a lot, a way lot on organization as far as like tools and everything like that. And I don't know how many of you guys are into like the FPV bags and stuff like that, but let me show you something here real quick. Oh, there's no more of them. Oh man, bummer. Alright, well, scratch this. What I wanted to show you was, this is one of the first, it's a decent sized bag, and they aren't selling them anymore, but they were priced. This was like a $150 bag when they came out. You know, there's plenty of room for a lot of stuff. It looks a lot smaller than it is. And I picked one up last year when they dropped down to $30, and I picked up another one. So one is basically going to have my quad and radio. It's going to have like my batteries and radio and goggles and stuff like that, and maybe a couple tools. And the other one, I'm going to have things like my charger and my big charging batteries and everything. And, you know, I figured 2 of these bags for $60 versus buying one of the huge large bags for, you know, $250, which is just kind of ungodly. Just made a lot more sense. It looks like you might be able, let's see, that's the 150. Huh. That really stinks, because that is such a good deal. See, they're all up to the 400 size now, which is $100 just to gain a little bit more size. This is the one that you can put like a Phantom in. That's a bummer. Yeah, it was on Tuesday. All gone now. That is a bummer. But yeah, my other one, you know, I've got at FPV Fest a couple years ago, they had these huge 6600 4S packs that did not come with the MSD labels, so they weren't allowed to sell them, you know, in the stores. And they were selling these packs for $20 a piece. So I had 4 of them, but I ruined one of them. And these are just perfect because this basically is my field charging setup. I just use the old ISDT charger here, and I can hook up a parallel board to it, or I can charge one battery at a time. It's just a perfect setup. So never get a deal like that again. I mean, these are really expensive batteries if you go to pick them up by themselves. So that's basically what's going to be like in bag number 2. But that's the perfect Tiny Whoop charging setup too. I take just one of those. I mean, you can really take any size battery and charge your Tiny Whoop batteries, but when we go to Tiny Whoop races and stuff, just take one of those, take the charger, take the little breakout cable, and just charge them right up. So it's just about getting more organized and everything, so when I go to the field, I don't have like this. I mean, granted, this is just one bag right here that I took out to the field with me for our last fun fly, but I have never unpacked a lot of this stuff that's still in this bag. I mean, I've got like an XT60 soldering iron in here. I've got like a ton of props. I've got welder glue. Oh, I was looking for some of that. I've got some props in here for my West Michigan park flyer machine. I've got my LED that I had at FPV Fest, extra tape, cables, XT60 connectors, and up here I've got like solder and a knife and goop, and this is just like no way to live. No way at all. Actually, there is one thing in here that I do want to look for real quick. Oh, see, I'm finding all kinds of good stuff. Been looking around for that. This is what I've been looking for right here. Love this thing. This is like a ready-made RC Strix, like little power station, so you can charge up like at the field. Basically what I would do is you can plug your pack into it. That one's dead. So you can plug your pack into it, and then you can plug in your XT60 style glue gun or soldering iron or both. It's got, let's see here, USB connector here, so you can charge your iPhone or your smartphone or whatever. And it's just, you know, the simplest things in life that make life a lot easier, field repairs and stuff. So things like this are going to go like in that other bag and be organized with some other supplies, and not just be all tossed into like one monstrous bag like that down there. You know, you can put all your different props and stuff like that in there. Got a few extra sets of some 2540s here. The 3-inch prop, 2.5-inch props for the Baby Hawk. So those are getting pretty popular and kind of hard to find because everybody's flying the 2.5-inch stuff. So yeah, organization, more fun and flying at the flight field and less digging around for stuff. Yeah, Stone Wolf, I got to fly. I flew one pack today in between like rain. We've got like 3 or 4 inches of rain the past couple days. And then we're supposed to get like another 2 to 4 tonight. So I wanted to fly the Proton. So I took it out on a nice long range, my typical type of long range winged type of mission, and went out furthest point to about a mile. I do about a 2.25 mile loop where I kind of fly around the fields out in front of my house. So I was checking out all the flooding and stuff, and I've already edited the video and uploaded it. I just haven't published it yet. And that has that's basically just a little narrated flight of me flying, and then down in the corner I have the screen from the RunCam Eagle Pro Micro. Everybody's done like an unboxing review and flight review, and everybody knows about it and stuff like that now. So I just wanted to kind of put my little 2 cents into there, since I've flown Eagles exclusively, and the camera does not disappoint. I mean, it's exactly like the Eagle 2 Pro, except it looks a little bit better and it's smaller, and it weighs less. So it's got more settings. It has less of that shimmering artifact. It's the most expensive camera that you can get, I think, right now. Like, it's $43. Like, I'm not going to go switching out my fleet or anything like them tomorrow, but my Proton takes a micro camera, and I had the Predator on there, and the Predator looked great, but I moved that over to the babyhawk-r because I just wanted to have a better camera on the babyhawk-r, because this, here it is right here, this Fox-ear camera that comes with the babyhawk-r, the aspect ratio, I don't know, like the distortion and everything, like kind of in this lens, just, I don't know, man, like it made the Baby Hawk just like really hard to fly and land and everything. It just didn't work out right. So I changed it out, which is kind of unfortunate, because the one great thing about the babyhawk-r is that what you get for the money. But then when you immediately throw I think you have to throw another 35 to 40 bucks on top of it to replace that camera. Some people might fly with this or might be okay with it, but I wasn't. You know, it just, I wanted the better experience. I put a Caddx in there first, and you know, it made a dramatic improvement over this, but the Caddx colors and everything like that just weren't all that for me. Yeah, I have used the Caddx. Like, I got the micro turbos, and you know, the Caddx people are right on par with kind of what they are going after. See, I was doing all that talk about organization. My drawer of parts is starting to get junked up. So that's going to be on the mission for tomorrow. So there's the Caddx. You know, I love everything about it except for the colors. The thing is that these cameras are definitely made for racers. I think Joshua Bardwell did the best example when he showed how when you set the contrast settings perfectly, like let's say this is a tree branch right here, and you're trying to get through this tree branch. If you, I don't know if it was just coincidence, the way the light was, or whatever, but the way that the Caddx and the RunCam, the Rotor Riot RunCam, created like a contrast line, like right here, so you knew so you could see that gap. It just didn't like turn into like mush. You know, you could see that gap to actually fly through. So a lot of people are saying that, you know, this is definitely a good racing camera, and I never investigated it that hard to actually see. I just wanted to get some cheap cameras to have laying around, and they were 20 bucks a piece. So, you know, what can you say? I definitely think that you're going to be happy with them. Definitely. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The only thing wrong with this camera is that I used oh only thing wrong with this camera is that I used that camera first. Which is, of course, this is the Eagle 2. These are just my favorite cameras, and now that they have the micro, it's just game over for me. Like, that's just unfortunately the one I'm going to have to pick up from now on if I'm going with any type of build that's having a micro. I mean, I put these full-size cameras still and everything. These are in my, it's going to be in my plane, and I've got them in my reverbs as well. Just can't be beat. Now, only if they would like drop the price by like 20 bucks and clear them out, then maybe we would be okay. You ever notice how that stuff just never happens? Like Where, you know, like why do they not like why do they not like discount this stuff? I mean, they come out with a new one like every day. Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I agree with it. If they, I mean, do they fly? You know, I hate to. I don't want to sound like an envious person or anything like that, but it's like, you know, do they fly them? Do they get them for free, or do they fly them because they actually like them? You know, that's the thing. It's that whole like race flight dilemma. You know, there's so many people that still can't understand why someone like Schizo flies race flight still. Is it because he's in it for the long haul? Did he sign a contract? Does he really like it that much when everybody around him flies beta flight except for Steele, of course? Yeah, watching Kebab, I was pretty excited about that Monster Mini coming out, but man, you could just feel the disappointment through YouTube whenever he was reviewing that. He had really high hopes for that monster, but it let him down. And I think it let him down because the Eagle 2 Micro is just so freaking awesome. I mean, it is perfect. Everything about it is perfect except for the price. Yeah, and even I'm just as far as price dropping, I'm just talking about the old stuff. Like, you know, at some point you have to think that if Runcam is coming out with cameras every month, you know, let's just look at like the Runcam split. I think Runcam splits are still like 50 or 60 bucks brand new at places when a Runcam split 2 is 70 or $80. Now, who is going everybody knows that the split is a joke. So who's going to even I mean they might get a couple suckers, but if they drop those things down to like 30 bucks, then maybe I would be willing to give the split another try. Maybe I would be willing to wire up a 5-volt regulator, which actually I already have 5 volts running in this wing, and put a split in there instead of a GoPro. Let's see, catch up here. Yeah, I have had Raceflight. If you look back on my channel this time last year, I was flying Raceflight. I was flying Raceflight and Connex. But things have just changed so much, and the all-in-one boards with the OSD, like you just can't go back. And I know their boards. I mean, they've said they've been shipping now for like a month. I don't know. I think they finally did ship some of them. I haven't actually. I've been so busy looking at like all of this Inav stuff that I actually haven't even went onto the Raceflight Facebook page and seen what the whole thing is. So since this is turning into kind of like a round robin, why don't we just check that out real quick? Because I'm interested. Like, I am totally on board with what these guys are doing. Like, man, that's the reason why I got away from them, is because I didn't want to solder up a PDB, and I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to do that. And now that they say that they've gotten, you know, with the harnessed connectors and all that stuff like that, like I am so on board with all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if they've even... I don't even know if they've shipped yet. I still see, usually there would be a thing at the top where people would be complaining. I haven't seen much about how the OSD looks. I mean, that still looks like a regular Revolt there. Man, how many times have I seen this question asked? Oh, wait a minute. That was from September 17th. Never mind. Raceflight used to fly great, and now it sucks. That's a way to get some friends. So they're on firmware 500 now. Jeez, man. They just keep on... That's the other thing, too. Is like, lordy, lordy. They just keep on dropping stuff and dropping stuff. Ooh, that America frame. If I was a racer, man, it'd be... Jeez. If I raced, I'd be broker than I am now. I don't know. Like, is this stuff even... I could have... If this stuff hasn't shipped by now... I remember when they did the actual live stream. Am I on the screen capture here? Yeah. There's the Revolt. The Bolt. What shop? There it is. Alright, so they got the boards, they just didn't get the cables, which is the entire premise that they're trying to go. So that way everything just plugs and chugs into this and into the Bolt and then to your Crossfire and to your Unify and everything else like that. I don't know. They should have went that way in the first place, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing. It's like everything's just a big secret with them. Like they do these live. That's the problem. Is like they really were getting pushed hard there with the whole Cowman thing and Kalen leaving and all that kind of stuff. And I think that I don't know, they just had to drop this stuff before they were ready. That's for sure. But I mean, you hear Preston talk. I mean, he is very forward thinking. You know, when he talks about like, you know, true STI adapters between the ESC and the flight controller, so that way you know you don't have things going over analog systems. True digital signals, the fastest that we can get. You know, when you hear that kind of stuff, it's like, man, you know, we want it. And he says that, oh, you know, we're beta testing it and everything right now. But it's like, well, dude, you can't even, like, ship what you have right now. Like, you can't even, it's been 2 years and there's no OSD. I heard their motors are pretty damn sick, though. People say that their motors sell like crazy. These warp motors. So here's the new bolt, which is on pre-order too. So that's got the 32-bit ESCs, and it has the huge power rails here in the middle that you don't have to solder supposedly anymore. And it's BL 32, 50 amps a channel. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, they're really gonna have to like stick to their guns as far as like making things easy to use. And I think they're trying to do everything at once. That's the problem. So they're trying to make everything easy to use. They made a great GUI. They had something that flew pretty good. And then they kept on working on this code over and over and over. And then it got worse. And then it got better. And then it got good. And then they switched over to all their products. And they just kind of like jump back and forth as far as like whether they're ahead or behind or whatever. A year ago, when I first flew Raceflight, when Raceflight 1 first got released, compared to, I think it was Betaflight 3.1.7, yeah, it was no contest. Definitely was. I think Raceflight definitely flew better. But then they started changing firmware, and I remember the first firmware that they came out with, like the third or fourth revision after they put out RF1, they started having problems with Tyrannus. Like they wanted to, they were on that fast speed, low latency type of deal. So they went, and somehow they were easier to work with Spectrum than Tyrannus. So like I couldn't even stand to fly my Tyrannus because I had, we didn't have OSD, so I had to have the voltage callouts on, and that was coming from the telemetry from the Raceflight board, and it was constantly like sensor loss, sensor loss, sensor loss. Like I couldn't even enjoy like my quiet time out at the field because it was like sensor loss 12.8, sensor loss, so you never. And then a couple firmware versions were supposed to fix that. Then you couldn't even depend on the voltage that you were getting. It would get stuck somewhere in the middle of your flight, and then the next thing you know, it would like come alive, and you would have like, I don't know, 11 volts on a 4S pack, and you'd be like falling down into the field, and your video would be flickering and going away. Ironically enough, even we saw this with the whole Cowman thing, and people are doing it now with the new Biquad 2 filter, is Betaflight actually runs, sorry, that's my air compressor for my paint booth. Betaflight actually runs the best on a revolt. And I did flash my revolt with Betaflight, and it all worked, I just didn't have OSD. If any of you guys ever flown KISS, like I don't know why I never have, but I don't know why like it calls to me from time to time. Like I have no reason to change from Betaflight at all. It has everything that I want, To get into KISS would just be stupid because first of all, you have to learn everything again. Second of all, it's crazy expensive. And then they don't have like a good OSD still. They've got the Mr. Steel OSD, PDB that will fit on an Alien, and I guess it'll fit on my Reverb too. But you know, you're talking $200 in equipment, and it's like, is it really that much better than, you know, that Bardwell flight controller right there that does crossfire, smart audio, camera control, OSD, power distribution, current sensing, SD card reader for $35? And to me, I think the stuff is flying as good as it's ever flown. It's easier to tune than it's ever tuned. You know, you guys probably saw my video I put up about, you know, the D-Tune video the other day about the D-term, where I like chopped my D-term like in half from the winter because my you know, TPU gets like concrete when it gets cold, you know. So I had my D-terms up a lot, you know, to get rid of some of that vibration this winter, and we had some warmer days. So I cut my D-term in like half, and there was like no change in how the video looked at all, except that what I'm assuming is that, all right, this is P and this is D. So D was in line or overriding P, and now, since I brought D down, the P wave was able to take advantage. I'm able to take advantage of that more, and I instantly just had like a better tune, just like instantly. Like, I did that video about D-Shot 1200 with the BL Heli 32s. Like, now I can really feel the difference with them. That it is like, when I was flying that in 70 degrees the other day, it was like a different quad. It was like it came alive. Hey, thanks for the sub, Matt. I'm like 99% sure I'm subbed to everybody in my chat already, but I will go ahead and double check and make sure. Yeah, ZB, I'm 50% of your subscriber base, man. What's going on? Do you fly or not? If it's not on video, it never happened. Yeah, it really is, man. D-Shot 1200 really is awesome. And this was my first experience with D-Shot 1200. These on the Canasta Frame here are actually BL Heli 32 Racer Stars that I bought when I had some when I bought one of those B-Fight quads for Christmas that were like $80. So I was like, well, I'll throw some of those on there and try them out too. And they instantly made this thing smoother, you know. And that was a whole 3 months ago, before we got good props that actually worked on 6-inch and didn't vibrate like crazy and everything. So now that I got the Speedix ones, you know, like I said, those are on my backup reverb, which has now became my main reverb. And now the backup reverb is missing its GoPro mount, and it's sitting here saying, why don't you fly me anymore? I want to fly. I need to actually rebuild it a little bit. I want to do the same thing with it that I did with my my newer build. Clean up all this tape and all this stuff, get rid of that stuff, and get this antenna off of the top plate, and probably get rid of the, well, I'll probably keep the L configuration on the Crossfire. Doesn't really matter that much. So you want to talk about music? Well, if you want to put good music on your stuff and not worry about it, I will show you exactly what you need to do. So if you go to your channel and go to creator and scroll down to create and go to music policies. So if we search here for Ozzy Osbourne, there's no Ozzy. What? Am I on the screen capture? Why don't we try? Let's just try Crazy Train. What's going on here? It's like it's not searching. Let's try Eminem. There's got to be Eminem in here. I've seen that before. Weird. Is it in here? Alright. Since I couldn't find Ozzy here, there's Eminem right there. What's going on? I really want to like show you this for what you want. Well, I guess this is a perfect example. Supposedly, if you type a song in here and you search and it is not here, then you will not get flagged or get in trouble. That is what I have always heard. But if we look at, so let's look at Eminem. So basically, if you use the song, you can use it, you just can't monetize with it. So it'll always tell you that. And the one thing you got to watch too is if you want your stuff to be seen like worldwide, is that it might get blocked in like some countries. But then here's one, Bruno Mars. it's not available to use in your YouTube videos. You'll get blocked, muted, or you'll get a strike if you stick it in there. But let's say you wanted to use Katy Perry here, Roar. If you used her song, and if you perform a cover, well, if you want to sing Ozzy, it looks like you can take part in revenue sharing. You just can't monetize your ad. Yeah, so your guys' isn't doing it either, huh? Let me try. Yeah, it's got to be broke right now. It definitely does that. Like, you can see the policy right here, and it'll talk about all that kind of stuff. But that's how you do it. I don't know why it's not working right now. It's worked for me in the past. I can't think of any. The one video that comes to mind, if you guys have been watching videos for a long time, would be one of Final Glide's videos that he did. It was like maybe 2 or 3 winters ago. He did whoever does that song, Remember the Name. He busted out like just an awesome like 1-pack edit flight at Chad Capper's house, like in the snow, and like that song was playing on it. And since he doesn't monetize his videos, he was able to use it. There's a couple good guys though that what are these dudes' names? There's a couple places that actually has really good music though. And I'm trying to remember. Let me find one of the guys, if I can remember his name. Somebody recently just put a video up about it too. It's always sad to see Crash Hancock's name. Rest in peace, bud. What a man for the hobby. Lost him way too soon. Oh man, who am I looking for? Well, what I'm looking for is a guy, some of my guys that promote this stuff. Oh, I know. The one dude just did one. The guy that. Where's he at? This guy, like. He got really big, like, kind of when I did. Doing, like, Mavic videos. And he does, like, all kinds of. Like, he wants. He really wants to be good on YouTube. But he can't get out of the DJI mold. Like, he's trying to do, like, which he seems like a really nice guy, but he's, like, stuck in the DJI mold for sure. He's got 33,000 subscribers because he put out some really awesome DJI videos. But, like, if you look at, like, everything but his DJI videos, they don't get good views at all. You know, like, here he did a Go app, 11,000 views. His next views, 1,000. So, this is it right here. It is called... And we'll watch the video and give him some ad music. Artless. No, this isn't it. This isn't what I want. Damn it. Well, anyway, there's other sites out there that have actually pretty dang good music. I got some off of... Oh, alright. Yeah, here we go. So, like, I watch a lot of, you know, regular videos and stuff like that too on, like, Premiere Pro and everything like that. Like, I really like this guy. Some of this stuff you can put into your actual things. So, he did a video right here. Peter McKinnon LUTs, which I actually use Peter McKinnon's LUTs on some of my GoPro footage. And I'm going to find this. Copy. This is the best one that I've found. If I can just find the freaking... Is it SoundCloud? Yeah, it is. It is SoundCloud. Yeah. Okay. SoundCloud. SoundCloud's got some good stuff. And that was one heck of a tangent. All about music. There's no Ozzy on SoundCloud, though. You won't find that on there. Well, guys, I'm going to jump off here, man. It's been like almost an hour and a half. Thanks a lot for stopping by. It's been a good discussion. I like just sitting around and shooting the crap like this. It almost makes me feel like I'm out at the flying field. So, definitely those days are coming. It's getting warmer and warmer. So, I appreciate everybody watching this stuff. And, you know, keep an eye out for all the cool Inav stuff or whatever. See how my maiden goes on my wing, if I break it in half or whatever. So, thanks a lot. And we'll see you guys on the next thing. Let me know if you need any. Let me know if you need any thing, and I'll hit you guys back up. So that whole dude. Just a little bit about my build. You didn't miss a whole lot. It turned into a big round robin discussion of pretty much everything. So I'm going to be breaking all the Inav stuff up really nice and small and detailed and everything, and going over all the new features. So you're going to be all good, old dude. Yeah, it's time for this old dude to go to bed. See you guys later, man. Thanks a lot.